My name is Orly, and I've always believed in the power of true friendship and love. Growing up, I was taught that the relationships we cultivate are a reflection of who we are as individuals. So, I made it a point to surround myself with people who uplifted and supported me. That's how I met my partner, Mathieu, and my best friend, Camille. Mathieu and I met in college, and it was love at first sight. We shared the same interests, values, and sense of humor. Our relationship blossomed, and we became inseparable. Camille, on the other hand, was a friend I made through work. We bonded over our shared passion for art, and she quickly became someone I trusted and confided in. As time went on, our relationships with each other deepened. Mathieu and I moved in together, and Camille became a regular fixture in our lives. We'd spend weekends together, exploring the city, trying new restaurants, and just enjoying each other's company. It was the perfect life, or so I thought. Camille was more than just a friend to me. She was my confidant, my partner in crime, and my sounding board. I'd share my deepest secrets with her, and she'd offer advice and support without judgment. Mathieu adored her too. She'd often join us for dinner, and the three of us would laugh and joke together like we were siblings. But looking back, I realized that there were signs. Little things that seemed insignificant at the time, but now make sense in hindsight. Camille would sometimes make comments about Mathieu's behavior or my reactions to certain situations. She'd say things like, "Oh, Mathieu's just joking," or "You're overreacting, Aurélie." At the time, I brushed it off, thinking she was just trying to help. But now I wonder if she was manipulating our perceptions. Mathieu, on the other hand, was my rock. He supported me through thick and thin, and I loved him for it. We'd have our disagreements, but we'd always find a way to work through them. I trusted him with my life, and I thought he felt the same way about me. As the months went by, our relationship continued to grow stronger. We'd talk about our future, our dreams, and our aspirations. We were each other's safe haven, and I felt grateful to have him by my side. But amidst all the happiness, I started to notice subtle changes in our dynamics. Mathieu would sometimes seem distant or preoccupied, and I'd catch him staring at his phone with a look of concern. I'd ask him what was wrong, but he'd just shake it off, saying he was stressed with work. I didn't think much of it at the time, but now I realized that those moments were the beginning of the end. The cracks were forming, and I was about to discover that the people I trusted most would ultimately be the ones to break my heart. I'd been with Mathieu for 3 years, and everything seemed perfect. We'd spend our days working, exploring the city, and enjoying each other's company. But slowly, I started noticing changes in Mathieu's behavior. He'd become distant, preoccupied, and would often stare at his phone with a look of concern. At first, I thought it was just work-related stress, but as time went on, the behavior continued. One evening, we were walking home from dinner when Mathieu's phone buzzed. He hesitated for a moment before answering, his voice low and serious. I asked him who it was, but he just shook his head and said it was nothing important. I let it go, not wanting to pry. But the incidents kept piling up. Mathieu would receive mysterious texts, and when I'd ask him about them, he'd brush it off. He started working late nights, claiming he had deadlines to meet, but I'd often find him staring out the window, lost in thought. I began to feel like I was living with a stranger. I tried talking to Camille about it, my best friend since we met through work. We'd often discuss our lives, sharing stories and advice. But when I mentioned Mathieu's strange behavior, she just shrugged it off. "Maybe he's just stressed," she said. "Give him some space." I took her advice, giving Mathieu space and trying not to be too clingy. But the more I gave him space, the more I felt like I was losing him. We'd go days without having a meaningful conversation, and I'd find myself wondering if he still loved me. One night, I woke up to find Mathieu's side of the bed empty. I got out of bed and found him sitting in the living room, staring at his phone. The screen was dark, but he was scrolling through something, his eyes fixed intently. I asked him what he was doing, but he just shook his head and said he couldn't sleep. I didn't believe him. "Mathieu, what's going on?" I asked, sitting down beside him. "You've been acting strange for weeks. Is everything okay?" He looked at me, his eyes searching for something. For a moment, I thought he was going to open up, to tell me what was wrong. But then his expression changed, and he smiled. "Everything's fine, Aurélie. I just have a lot on my mind." I wasn't convinced. Something was wrong, and I was determined to find out what it was. "Mathieu, I know you better than that," I said, my voice firm. "Something's going on, and I want to know what it is." Mathieu's smile faltered, and for a moment, I saw something in his eyes that looked like fear. But then it was gone, replaced by his usual calm demeanor. "Aurélie, trust me," he said. "There's nothing going on. Let's just go back to bed, okay?" I nodded, but I knew I wouldn't be able to sleep. My mind was racing with questions, and I was determined to find the answers. As we went back to bed, I couldn't shake the feeling that our relationship was on shaky ground. I didn't know what was wrong, but I knew I had to find out before it was too late. The next morning, I decided to do some digging. I started by checking Mathieu's phone, scrolling through his messages and emails. But there was nothing out of the ordinary. No suspicious texts or emails, just work stuff and messages from friends. I was about to give up when I noticed something strange. Mathieu had deleted his browser history, but there was one website that hadn't been erased. A website I'd never seen before. My heart started racing as I realized that Mathieu might be hiding something big. I decided to investigate further, to find out what was going on and what Mathieu was hiding. Little did I know that the truth would change everything. I sat at my desk, staring at the computer screen in front of me. I had been searching for answers for hours, trying to understand what was happening in my relationship. Mathieu's strange behavior, the mysterious texts, the deleted browser history. It all pointed to something, but I wasn't sure what. I decided to dig deeper, to see if I could find any more evidence of what was going on. I started by checking Mathieu's phone again, scrolling through his messages and emails. But there was nothing out of the ordinary. No suspicious texts or emails. Just work stuff and messages from friends. I was about to give up when I remembered something. Camille had been acting strange lately, always seeming to be around when Mathieu was being distant. I had dismissed it as coincidence, but now I wasn't so sure. I decided to investigate further, to see if I could find any connection between Camille and Mathieu's behavior. I started by checking their social media profiles, looking for any clues. And then I saw it, a message from Mathieu to Camille, sent a few weeks ago. It was a simple, "Meet me at the park at 2 p.m. message, but it was enough to raise my suspicions. I felt a surge of adrenaline as I realized that Mathieu and Camille might be working together. I didn't know what their plan was, but I was determined to find out. I spent the next few hours digging deeper, searching for more evidence. I checked Mathieu's computer, looking for any suspicious activity, and then I found it. A hidden folder, filled with messages and emails between Mathieu and Camille. My heart sank as I read through the messages. They were discussing ways to sabotage my relationship, to drive a wedge between us. I felt a wave of anger and hurt, realizing that my best friend and my partner were working against me. I didn't know what to do next. Part of me wanted to confront Mathieu and Camille, to demand answers and explanations. But another part of me wanted to gather more evidence, to make sure I had the whole story. I decided to keep investigating, to see if I could find out more about their plan. I spent the rest of the day digging deeper, searching for any more clues. And then I found something that made my blood run cold. A message from Camille to Mathieu, sent just a few days ago. "I have an idea," she wrote. "Let's make it look like Aurélie is crazy. Let's make her think she's losing her mind." My heart racing, I realized that I had to act fast. I couldn't let Mathieu and Camille continue to manipulate me. I had to take back control, to show them that I wouldn't be played. I took a deep breath, trying to calm myself down. I knew I had to be careful, to gather all the evidence before I made my move. But I was determined to expose Mathieu and Camille, to show them that I wouldn't be fooled. I spent the rest of the day gathering more evidence, searching for any more clues. And then I had a plan. I would confront Mathieu and Camille, and I would demand answers. I would take back control of my life, and I would make sure that they paid for what they had done. I was ready for the fight of my life. I was ready to take on Mathieu and Camille, and to show them that I wouldn't be manipulated. I was ready to take back my life, and to move forward. I walked into the coffee shop, spotting Camille sitting at a table by the window. She smiled when she saw me, but I didn't return it. I sat down across from her, my eyes locked on hers. "Aurélie, what's going on?" she asked, her voice cautious. "I know what you've been doing," I said, my voice low. "I know you've been sabotaging my relationship with Mathieu." Camille's expression changed, her eyes darting around the coffee shop. "Aurélie, I can explain," she stammered. "Explain?" I repeated, my voice rising. "You've been manipulating us, turning Mathieu against me. How could you do that?" Camille took a deep breath. "I was just trying to protect you, Aurélie. Mathieu's not good for you. He's distant, preoccupied. He doesn't appreciate you the way you deserve." "That's not for you to decide," I said, my anger growing. "You're my friend, not my guardian. You had no right to interfere in my relationship." Camille looked down, her shoulders slumping. "I know I messed up. I'm sorry." "Sorry?" I repeated. "Your apology doesn't fix anything. You've damaged my relationship and hurt me deeply." We sat in silence for a moment, the coffee shop's background noise filling the gap. Then Camille spoke up again. "Aurélie, please understand. I was only trying to help." "Help?" I said, my voice incredulous. "You call sabotaging my relationship helping me? You've been playing both sides, pretending to be my friend while working against me." Camille's eyes welled up with tears, but I didn't feel any sympathy. "How long have you been doing this?" I asked, my voice cold. "A few months," she admitted. "I just got worried about you, Aurélie. Mathieu's not the right guy for you." "That's not your decision to make," I repeated. "You've crossed a line, Camille. I don't know if our friendship can recover from this." Camille's face crumpled, but I didn't feel any satisfaction. I felt betrayed, hurt, and angry. I didn't know what the future held for my relationship with Mathieu, but I knew I had to take back control. "I need some space," I said, standing up. "I need to figure out what's next." Camille nodded, still crying. "I'll give you space, Aurélie. I'm sorry." I turned and walked out of the coffee shop, leaving Camille behind. I didn't know what the future held, but I knew I had to take care of myself. I had to protect my relationship and my own well-being. I was determined to get answers and move forward, no matter what it took. I sat across from Mathieu, my heart racing with anticipation. I had been gathering evidence for weeks, and I finally had the proof I needed to confront him about his betrayal. "Mathieu, we need to talk," I said, my voice firm. He looked up from his phone, a hint of concern in his eyes. "What's going on, Aurélie?" "I know what you've been doing," I said, my voice steady. "I know you've been working with Camille to sabotage our relationship." Mathieu's expression changed, a mix of guilt and defensiveness crossing his face. "Aurélie, I can explain," he stammered. "Explain?" I repeated, my voice rising. "You've been manipulating me, lying to me, and working with my best friend to destroy our relationship. How can you explain that?" Mathieu took a deep breath, his eyes darting around the room. "It wasn't like that, Aurélie. I don't know, I guess I was feeling trapped in the relationship." "Trapped?" I repeated, my voice incredulous. You've been complaining about me to Camille and working with her to sabotage our relationship because you felt trapped? Mathieu nodded, his eyes downcast. I know it was wrong, Aurélie. I'm sorry. I felt a wave of anger and hurt, but I pushed it aside. I needed to know more. Why did you do it? I asked, my voice cold. What did Camille promise you? Mathieu hesitated, his eyes darting around the room. She promised me a way out, he said finally. She promised me that we could end the relationship without hurting you. I laughed, a harsh sound. A way out? You call sabotaging our relationship and lying to me a way out? Mathieu looked up, his eyes pleading. Aurélie, I'm sorry. I know I messed up. Can we work through this? I stared at him, my mind racing with thoughts and emotions. Could we work through this? Could we fix the damage that had been done? I didn't know, but one thing was certain. I needed answers, and I needed them now. What do you think we should do? I asked, my voice neutral. Mathieu hesitated, his eyes searching for a way out. I don't know, he said finally. I guess we need to talk about what we want from the relationship. I nodded, my mind racing with possibilities. Maybe we could work through this. Maybe we could fix the damage that had been done. But one thing was certain. I would not be fooled again. I would not be manipulated and lied to without a fight. I think we need to take a break, I said finally. I need some time to think about what I want and what I'm willing to work through. Mathieu nodded, his eyes downcast. Okay, he said. I understand. I stood up, my heart heavy with emotion. I didn't know what the future held, but I knew one thing. I deserved better than to be manipulated and lied to. I deserved better than Mathieu, and I was determined to get it. I walked out of the apartment, the door closing behind me with a soft thud. I took a deep breath, feeling a sense of freedom wash over me. I had finally taken control of my life, and I was ready to move forward. I started by doing some things I loved. I took up painting again, something I had put aside when Mathieu and I started dating. I spent hours in my studio, lost in the strokes and colors. It was therapeutic, a way for me to express myself and clear my mind. I also started reconnecting with friends and family. I had distanced myself from them when Mathieu and I started dating, and now I was making up for lost time. We would meet for coffee, go for walks, or just talk on the phone. It was nice to have people in my life who cared about me, who didn't have an ulterior motive. As I rebuilt my life, I started to realize that I had lost myself in the relationship. I had become someone I wasn't, someone I didn't want to be. But now, I was taking back control. I was being true to myself, and it felt amazing. I started to focus on my career, something I had put on the back burner when Mathieu and I started dating. I threw myself into my work, determined to succeed, and it paid off. I started to get recognition, promotions, and new opportunities. It was exhilarating, a sense of pride and accomplishment that I hadn't felt in years. As the months went by, I started to feel like myself again. I was confident, strong, and independent. I was no longer defined by my relationship with Mathieu. I was my own person, with my own interests, goals, and dreams. One day, I met someone new. His name was Alexandre, and he was kind, funny, and genuine. We met through mutual friends, and it was a casual encounter. But as we talked, I realized that I was having a great time. I was laughing, smiling, and feeling alive. Alexandre asked me out on a date, and I agreed. It was a nervous, excited feeling, something I hadn't experienced in years. But as we sat across from each other at dinner, I knew that I was ready. I was ready to move on, to start a new chapter in my life. The conversation flowed easily, and we talked about everything from our jobs to our families. I was surprised by how much we had in common, how much I enjoyed his company. And as the night came to a close, I knew that I wanted to see him again. As I walked home, I felt a sense of hope. Maybe this was the start of something new, something special. Maybe this was the chance for me to experience love again, to find someone who truly cared about me. I smiled to myself, feeling a sense of excitement and anticipation. I was ready for whatever came next, ready to take on the world. I was no longer the same person I was when I was with Mathieu. I was stronger, wiser, and more confident. And I was ready for whatever life had in store for me. If you're watching this and you're going through something similar, I want you to know that you're not alone. Relationships can be complex, and sometimes they can be toxic. But it's never too late to take control of your life and make a change. For me, it took a long time to realize that I was in a toxic relationship. I had to dig deep and confront the truth about my partner's behavior. And when I finally did, I knew I had to get out. My advice would be to trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. Don't ignore the red flags or make excuses for someone's behavior. You deserve better. It's also important to surround yourself with people who care about you. Friends and family can be a great support system, and don't be afraid to reach out to them when you need help. Taking care of yourself is crucial too. Whether it's exercise, meditation, or hobbies, make time for things that make you happy and fulfilled. And when you're ready, take action. It might be scary, but it's necessary. Whether it's ending a relationship or setting boundaries, prioritize your own well-being. You are strong and capable, and you can get through this. Don't give up, even when it feels like the hardest thing to do. There is life after a toxic relationship, and it's worth fighting for. I know it's not easy, but I believe in you. You can do this. Take the first step, and then the next, and the next. Before you know it, you'll be standing on the other side, stronger and wiser. And when you are, you'll look back on this experience and realize that it was a turning point in your life. A moment when you chose to take control and prioritize your own happiness. And that realization will give you the strength to keep moving forward, to keep growing and learning. You'll discover new things about yourself, new strengths and weaknesses. You'll meet new people and form new connections. And you'll find that you're capable of so much more than you ever thought possible. So, don't give up. Keep pushing forward, even when it feels like the hardest thing to do. Because on the other side of this struggle is a stronger, wiser, and more confident you. And that is worth fighting for. This is the end of my story. Thank you for watching, and if you like this kind of content, kindly leave us a like, share the video, and subscribe to the channel for more stories like this. Thank you.